There is a weight pressing against your chest tonight. You feel it, don't you? That familiar ache that settles in when the day grows quiet and your thoughts turn inward. It's the weight of words spoken into empty air, of requests that seem to echo back unanswered, of hopes that feel suspended somewhere between earth and heaven with no clear destination. You have prayed. In the early morning hours when the world was still sleeping, you whispered your deepest needs into the darkness. During hurried moments between the demands of life, you sent up silent pleas for help, for healing, for change. In the depths of your despair, you cried out with a voice that felt raw and desperate, begging for relief that seemed never to come. And here you are, carrying the accumulated weight of every prayer that feels unfinished, every request that appears to hang in limbo, every plea that seems to have been swallowed by silence. The burden grows heavier with each passing day, doesn't it? Each morning you wake wondering if today will be different, if today the answer will finally come. Each evening you lay your head down with the same questions that haunted you the night before. You wonder if anyone is really listening. In your most honest moments, when all pretense falls away, you question whether your words have any power at all, whether they reach beyond the ceiling of your room, whether there is truly someone who cares about the deepest longings of your heart. The silence can feel so complete, so overwhelming, that you begin to doubt not just the answers, but the very act of asking. There are prayers you've carried for years now. Prayers for healing that seemed so urgent when you first spoke them, for relationships that appeared on the verge of breaking, for provision when the path ahead looked impossibly difficult. These prayers have become part of you, woven into the fabric of your daily existence like a constant, low-level ache that you've learned to live with but never quite forget. Some nights you lie awake rehearsing these requests, wondering if you've asked in the right way, if your words were clear enough, if your heart was pure enough to deserve an answer. You've examined your motives, questioned your worthiness, wondered if perhaps the silence is your fault somehow. Maybe you haven't been good enough, faithful enough, patient enough. Maybe the problem isn't with the listening, but with the asking. The waiting has worn you down in ways you never expected. When you first began to pray earnestly about these matters, you had such hope, such expectation. You believed the answers would come quickly, that your faith would be rewarded with swift and obvious responses. But time stretched on, and the quick answers never materialized. Hope began to feel dangerous, like setting yourself up for disappointment again and again. You've watched others around you receive what seemed like immediate answers to their prayers. Their stories of provision, healing, and breakthrough only deepened your questions about your own experience. Why them and not you? Why their requests and not yours? These comparisons have added another layer to your burden, a mixture of genuine joy for others and honest confusion about your own journey. In your most difficult moments, you felt abandoned, not just unanswered, but truly alone in your struggles. The prayers that once brought comfort began to feel hollow, like speaking to an empty room. You continued to pray because you didn't know what else to do, but the words felt mechanical, lifeless, going through the motions of a conversation that seemed increasingly one-sided. You've tried everything you could think of to break through whatever barrier seemed to stand between your prayers and their answers. You've prayed longer, prayed harder, prayed with more emotion. You've fasted, given more generously, tried to live more righteously. You've sought advice from others, read books about prayer, attended gatherings where others shared testimonies of answered prayer. Yet still, the silence persisted. The exhaustion runs deeper than you sometimes realize. It's not just the weariness of waiting, but the emotional toll of hoping and being disappointed repeatedly. You've had to carefully guard your heart, learning to hope just enough to keep praying, but not so much that the next wave of silence would devastate you completely. This delicate balance has become its own form of burden. There are prayers you've stopped praying altogether, requests that felt so important once, but have now been buried under layers of discouragement. You told yourself it was acceptance, that you were learning to trust and let go. But underneath, you know it was more like surrender born of exhaustion than peace born of faith. The silence wore you down until it seemed easier to stop asking than to keep facing the apparent void. Yet, even in your weariness, even in your doubt, something keeps drawing you back to prayer. Despite all the evidence that might suggest otherwise, there remains a part of you that refuses to completely give up. It's as if somewhere deep within your spirit, beyond the reach of disappointment and discouragement, lives an unshakable knowing that your words matter, that your heart is heard, that your prayers have more power and purpose than the silence suggests. This knowing frustrates you sometimes. It would be easier to simply stop believing, to accept that prayer is nothing more than wishful thinking or psychological comfort. but you can't shake the sense that there's more happening than what you can see or understand. Even when your mind argues otherwise, your heart keeps insisting that these prayers are going somewhere, reaching someone, making a difference in ways you haven't yet discovered. Tonight, as you carry this familiar weight, know that every ounce of your struggle is understood. The questioning, the disappointment, the exhaustion, the flickering hope that refuses to die completely, all of it is seen and known. Your prayers haven't fallen into a void. Your words haven't been lost in empty space. The silence you've experienced isn't evidence of absence, but of something far more mysterious and wonderful than you've yet imagined. The weight you carry isn't punishment for inadequate faith or evidence of divine indifference. It's the natural burden of living in a world where time moves differently than eternity, where visible reality doesn't always reflect spiritual truth, where the deepest work happens in places your eyes cannot see. You've been carrying this weight not because you're forgotten, but because you're being prepared for something your current perspective cannot fully grasp. Your tears have been collected, every one of them precious and significant. Your midnight pleas have been heard, even when they felt like they disappeared into darkness. Your desperate prayers, spoken through gritted teeth or whispered through tears, have reached the heart that loves you more deeply than you can comprehend. Not one word has been wasted. Not one cry has gone unnoticed. The apparent delay isn't divine procrastination or heavenly bureaucracy. It's the careful timing of perfect love, working in ways that transcend your ability to understand, but never your need to trust. What feels like silence from your perspective is actually the quiet, steady work of arranging circumstances, preparing hearts, shifting situations in ways that will ultimately serve your highest good and deepest joy. You don't need to carry this weight alone anymore. The burden you've been shouldering, thinking it was your responsibility to maintain faith and hope through sheer willpower, was never meant to be yours to bear. There are hands stronger than yours ready to take the load, a heart more patient than yours ready to sustain the hope, a wisdom greater than yours already working out the details of every answer you've been seeking. The prayers that feel oldest and most tired to you are often the ones closest to breakthrough. The requests that have been with you longest haven't been forgotten. They've been maturing, developing, gathering the perfect conditions for manifestation. Like seeds buried in winter soil, they've been growing in the darkness, preparing to spring forth with life and beauty when the season is exactly right. Your faithfulness in continuing to pray despite the apparent silence has not gone unnoticed. Each time you chose to speak to heaven even when heaven seemed silent, you demonstrated a trust that runs deeper than evidence. Each time you brought your needs and hopes forward despite previous disappointments, you showed a love that persists beyond logic. This kind of faith, this quality of heart, is precious beyond measure. The weight you feel tonight is real, but it's not the final word on your story. It's not evidence that your prayers don't matter or that you're somehow unworthy of answers. It's simply the natural tension that exists when finite hearts carry eternal hopes, when human timing intersects with divine purposes, when earthly perspective meets heavenly reality. Rest now in the knowledge that you are deeply, completely, eternally heard. Let the weight of carrying these prayers alone begin to lift as you remember that they were never meant to be your burden to bear in isolation. There is one who carries them with you, who feels their weight more keenly than you do, who is working even now to bring about responses that will exceed your expectations and fulfill your heart's deepest longings. The morning will come when the weight transforms into wonder, when the silence breaks into symphony, when the waiting reveals its purpose in the perfect timing of love's answer. Until then, rest in the promise that your prayers matter, your heart is held, and your story is being written by hands that never shake, guided by a heart that never stops loving you. There is a gentle truth that wants to settle into the spaces where your questions live, an understanding that can transform the way you see the silence that has surrounded your prayers. It begins with recognizing that the heart that loves you operates on a rhythm entirely different from the urgent tempo of human need. What feels like delay to your spirit is often protection working itself out in perfect timing. Consider the way a master craftsman works. When creating something of lasting beauty and value, every movement is deliberate, every pause purposeful. The apprentice watches with impatience, wanting to see quick progress, obvious results. But the master knows that rushing the process would compromise the final creation. Each moment of apparent inactivity is actually preparation. Each pause is positioning for the next essential step. The silence in the workshop isn't emptiness. It's the sound of careful planning and precise timing. This is how divine love works in response to your prayers. What appears to be divine silence is often divine preparation. While you experience the waiting as emptiness, heaven experiences it as fullness, full of activity, full of arrangement, full of careful orchestration of circumstances that must align before your prayer can be answered in the way that serves your highest good. Sometimes the answer you seek requires the changing of hearts that haven't yet been prepared to change. Sometimes it requires the movement of people who haven't yet been positioned where they need to be. Sometimes it requires the development of strength within your own spirit that can only come through the process of waiting itself. The delay isn't divine indifference. It's divine wisdom ensuring that when the answer comes, you'll be ready to receive it fully and use it well. Think about the nature of love itself. True love never acts rashly, never gives what would ultimately harm, never provides something simply because it's requested if that provision would lead to greater sorrow down the road. The love that governs the universe sees not just your present pain, but the trajectory of your entire story. It weighs not just your current desire, but the implications of fulfilling that desire in this moment versus waiting for a better time. There have been moments in your life when you've been grateful for prayers that weren't answered when and how you wanted them to be. Perhaps you can look back now and see that what felt like rejection was actually redirection towards something better. What seemed like divine cruelty was actually divine kindness, protecting you from a path that would have led to greater difficulty or preventing you from settling for less than the fullness of what love wanted to give you. The timing of heaven operates on principles that transcend human urgency. Where you see delay, heaven sees preparation. Where you experience waiting, heaven experiences creating. Where you feel forgotten, heaven feels the intensity of working everything together for your ultimate good. The silence isn't empty space. It's the sound of infinite intelligence arranging the pieces of your life into a pattern more beautiful than you could have imagined. Your prayers set something in motion the moment they leave your heart, but that motion doesn't always move in straight lines or at the speed you might prefer. Like a river that sometimes must wind through valleys and around mountains to reach its destination, your prayers sometimes must navigate through the complex landscape of human freedom, natural laws, and divine wisdom to manifest in the physical world. The apparent delay often serves purposes you cannot yet perceive. Sometimes it's allowing you to grow into someone who can handle the responsibility that comes with the answer. Sometimes it's protecting others who would be affected by the response to your prayer. Sometimes it's waiting for the perfect convergence of circumstances that will make the answer not just adequate, but abundantly more than you asked for. Consider how often in life the best things come not quickly, but at exactly the right time. The relationship that blossoms into deep love often takes years to develop into its full beauty. The opportunity that changes everything frequently appears only after you've developed the skills and wisdom to make the most of it. The healing that comes often coincides perfectly with your readiness to live differently as a result of it. Divine timing operates on the principle of perfect coordination. Your prayer for provision might be waiting for the person who will offer the opportunity to be in the right position to do so. Your prayer for healing might be waiting for medical advances, or for your own body to be in the optimal condition to receive and integrate the healing. Your prayer for relationship might be waiting for another heart to be prepared to love you in the way you deserve to be loved. The delay is not punishment for insufficient faith or evidence of divine limitation. It's the natural rhythm of a love so vast and wise that it takes into account factors you cannot see, understands implications you cannot grasp, and coordinates outcomes across time and space in ways that finite minds cannot comprehend. What looks like slowness is actually the careful precision of perfect love. Sometimes the waiting itself is part of the answer. In the space between asking and receiving, you develop qualities that become essential to your ability to steward what you've prayed for. Patience grows stronger in the soil of unanswered prayer. Trust deepens when it has to sustain itself without visible evidence. Character develops when faith must stand firm in the absence of immediate reward. The silence you've experienced has not been wasted time. Every day of waiting has been a day of preparation. Every moment of uncertainty has been an opportunity for your spirit to grow in ways that instant answers could never provide. You are not the same person who first spoke these prayers, and the person you're becoming is better equipped to receive and handle the answers that are coming. Divine love sometimes protects you by withholding what you think you want until you're ready for what you actually need. The prayer for a specific job might be delayed until a better position opens up. The prayer for a particular relationship might be postponed until you've healed from wounds that would have sabotaged that connection. The prayer for financial provision might wait until you've learned financial wisdom that will help you manage abundance responsibly. There's a tenderness in divine timing that human urgency often cannot appreciate. Like a parent who lovingly delays giving a child something they desperately want until the timing is safe and appropriate, divine love sometimes says, "Not yet," not because it doesn't care about your desires, but because it cares too much to give you something before you're ready to receive it well. The rhythm of heaven accounts for the complexity of existence in ways that human perspective cannot fully grasp. Your prayer touches not just your life, but the lives of everyone connected to you. The answer that's being prepared considers not just your happiness, but the well-being of your family, your community, your future self. It weighs not just immediate relief, but long-term flourishing. This understanding doesn't minimize the reality of your waiting or invalidate the difficulty of your experience. Your longing is real, your pain is seen, your needs are acknowledged. But recognizing the wisdom of divine timing can transform your relationship with the waiting itself. Instead of enduring it as evidence of absence, you can rest in it as evidence of careful love working on your behalf. The master who shapes precious metals knows that rushing the process creates weakness in the final product. The gardener who tends valuable plants knows that forcing growth destroys the root system. The architect who designs beautiful buildings knows that solid foundations cannot be hurried. Divine love applies this same principle to your prayers, ensuring that when the answer comes, it comes in a way that creates lasting blessing rather than temporary satisfaction. Your prayers are being answered, not ignored. They're being answered according to a timeline that serves your ultimate good rather than your immediate comfort. They're being answered in ways that will bless not just you, but everyone your life touches. They're being answered by a love so patient and thorough that it would rather wait to give you the best than hurry to give you the merely adequate. The gentle truth is this: the silence isn't empty, the delay isn't denial, and the waiting isn't wasted. You are being loved through every moment of uncertainty, held through every hour of questions, and prepared through every day of anticipation for answers that will exceed your expectations and fulfill your heart's deepest longings in ways you haven't yet imagined. Rest now in the knowledge that divine timing is not divine slowness, but divine wisdom. Trust that the heart that loves you is working even now, arranging and preparing and coordinating all the elements necessary to bring your prayers to fruition at exactly the right moment, in exactly the right way, for exactly the right reasons. Beyond the veil of what your eyes can see, beyond the reach of your physical senses, there exists a realm of activity, so vibrant and purposeful that if you could witness it for even a moment, you would never again question whether your prayers matter. In this unseen dimension, your words carry weight, your heart's cries create movement, and your deepest longings set in motion forces that work tirelessly on your behalf. Every prayer you've ever spoken has crossed from the visible world into this invisible realm, where it takes on a life and power that transcends its humble beginning as mere words whispered in darkness or thoughts formed in desperation. What begins as the stirring of your heart becomes something magnificent in the spiritual dimension, a living request that pulses with the sincerity of your need and the beauty of your hope. Imagine, if you can, a vast network of light connecting every heart that has ever turned toward heaven in prayer. Your words become part of this luminous web, joining with countless other prayers in a symphony of human longing and divine response. Your personal request is never isolated or alone. It becomes part of a grand chorus of heart-seeking, asking, hoping, trusting. In this realm, your prayer gains strength not just from your own faith, but from the collective faith of every soul that has ever dared to speak to the divine. The moment your prayer forms in your heart, before it even reaches your lips, it begins to create ripples in the spiritual realm. Like a stone dropped into still water, your prayer sends out waves that touch circumstances, move hearts, and influence events in ways that remain invisible to your earthly perspective. These ripples travel far beyond the boundaries of your immediate situation, creating connections and possibilities that will eventually circle back to you as the answer you've been seeking. There are beings in this unseen realm whose very existence is dedicated to the fulfillment of divine purposes on earth. These messengers of light receive your prayers as sacred assignments, understanding the depth of your need and the importance of your request to the heart that loves you. They work with intelligence beyond human comprehension and power beyond earthly limitation to arrange circumstances, prepare hearts, and coordinate events that will ultimately manifest as the answer to your prayer. Your prayer for healing sets in motion spiritual forces that begin working immediately on multiple levels. While your body experiences continued symptoms and your emotions wrestle with fear, the spiritual realm responds with healing energy that begins working from the inside out, from the spiritual foundation toward the physical manifestation. The healing you seek is already in progress, moving through layers of existence toward the moment when it will become visible in your physical experience. When you pray for provision, your words activate spiritual laws of abundance that begin drawing resources toward you from directions you haven't even considered. Opportunities you haven't thought of begin to take shape. People you haven't met yet begin to be positioned to help you. Circumstances you couldn't have planned start aligning to create pathways for the provision you need. The spiritual realm responds to your prayer by orchestrating a complex dance of possibility that will eventually deliver what you've requested in ways that will amaze you. Your prayers for loved ones create protective shields around those you care about, even when they're unaware of your intercession. In the spiritual realm, your love becomes a tangible force that surrounds them, influencing their thoughts, protecting them from harm, and drawing them toward the good that heaven desires for their lives. Your prayer creates a spiritual environment around them that makes positive change more likely and destructive influences less powerful. The tears you've shed while praying have not fallen to the ground and disappeared. In the spiritual realm, they are collected as precious evidence of your heart's sincerity, your love's depth, and your faith's persistence. These tears become part of the power that drives the answer to your prayer, adding weight and urgency to the spiritual forces working on your behalf. Your emotion gives energy to your request, fueling the spiritual activity that will eventually produce the breakthrough you're seeking. When you pray in desperate moments, feeling like your words are weak and inadequate, the spiritual realm translates your heart's cry into perfect requests that carry more power than the most eloquent speech. Your groaning, your silent tears, your wordless longing, all of it is understood and amplified in the spiritual dimension. What feels like failure to communicate becomes perfect communication when it crosses into the realm where heart speaks to heart without the limitation of human language. The spiritual realm operates on principles that transcend the limitations of physical reality. Distance means nothing there. Your prayer for someone on the other side of the world arrives instantaneously and begins working with the same power as if they were in the room with you. Time functions differently there. Your prayer can influence events in the past that led to the present moment and shape future circumstances that haven't yet unfolded in your timeline. Your persistent prayers create increasing momentum in the spiritual realm. Each time you return to the same request, you add energy to the spiritual forces already in motion. What feels like repetition to you becomes intensification in the unseen dimension. Your faithfulness in continuing to pray despite the apparent silence builds spiritual momentum that grows stronger each day, bringing you closer to the breakthrough that's been building power through your persistence. There are storehouses in the spiritual realm where answered prayers wait for the perfect timing to manifest in the physical world. Your answer already exists there, complete and ready, waiting for all the necessary elements to align in the earthly dimension. Like a gift wrapped and ready for delivery, your answer sits prepared, needing only the right moment to break through from the spiritual realm into your visible experience. The spiritual realm responds not just to your words, but to the condition of your heart. When you pray with surrender, accepting that the answer might come differently than you expect, you create space in the spiritual dimension for solutions you haven't considered. When you pray with gratitude for what you already have, you align yourself with spiritual laws of abundance that accelerate the manifestation of what you're requesting. Your prayers create spiritual pathways that remain open long after you've finished speaking. These pathways become channels through which continued blessing flows into your life. A prayer you spoke years ago might still be drawing good things toward you. Working through the spiritual pathway it created to bring you benefits you don't even realize are connected to that long ago request. The spiritual realm is populated with the prayers of saints who lived before you, whose intercession on behalf of all humanity continues to create a spiritual atmosphere that supports your individual requests. Your prayer joins this eternal stream of human longing and divine response, gaining strength from the accumulated faith of generations and adding your own unique voice to the chorus that moves heaven on behalf of earth. When you pray for wisdom, the spiritual realm responds by arranging for you to encounter the insights you need through books, conversations, experiences, and sudden realizations. The wisdom you seek already exists in the spiritual dimension and begins moving toward you the moment you ask for it, seeking ways to enter your consciousness and understanding through whatever channels you're most likely to recognize and receive. Your prayers for peace create calming influences in the spiritual realm that work to quiet the chaos around you and within you. This peace doesn't always come as the immediate absence of turmoil, but as a spiritual presence that sustains you through difficulty and gives you strength to navigate challenges with grace. The peace you've prayed for surrounds you even when you can't feel it, working to bring order to disorder and stillness to your spirit. The spiritual realm responds to your prayers for love by drawing hearts toward you and opening your own heart to recognize love in forms you might not have expected. The love you seek is already moving in your direction, working through people and circumstances to manifest in your experience. Your prayer creates spiritual magnetism that attracts loving relationships and loving opportunities into your life. Every night when you lie down wondering if your prayers matter, know that in the spiritual realm, your words continue to work while you sleep. The forces set in motion by your prayers don't rest when you do. They continue their purposeful activity, arranging and preparing and drawing together all the elements needed to bring your requests into manifestation. Your prayers have created spiritual momentum that builds toward breakthrough. In the unseen realm, your answer is not a future possibility, but a present reality working its way toward visibility. The spiritual forces activated by your prayers are even now moving the final pieces into position, preparing for the moment when the invisible becomes visible, when the spiritual becomes physical, when your prayer becomes your answered prayer. Rest in the knowledge that what you cannot see is more real and more powerful than what you can see. Your prayers have not disappeared into emptiness. They have entered a realm of infinite possibility where they live and work and grow stronger each day. The breakthrough you're seeking is not just coming, it's already in motion, making its way from the spiritual realm toward your physical experience with the certainty of divine love and the power of perfect timing. There are signs all around you that your prayers are being heard, subtle whispers of response that your heart recognizes even when your mind struggles to interpret them. These signs don't always come in the dramatic, unmistakable ways you might expect. Instead, they arrive as gentle confirmations, quiet reassurances, and tender evidences of a love that responds to your every word, your every cry, your every silent longing. The peace that settles over you in moments when you should be overwhelmed, that is a sign. When circumstances remain difficult, but something deep within your spirit refuses to be shaken. When external chaos cannot penetrate the stillness that has taken residence in your core, you are experiencing the response to prayers you may have forgotten you prayed. That supernatural calm is not coincidence. It is divine intervention, the direct result of your requests for strength and peace working their way into your lived experience. Notice how often the exact encouragement you need arrives precisely when you need it most. A stranger's kind word when you're feeling invisible. A friend's unexpected call when isolation threatens to overwhelm you. A song that speaks directly to your situation playing just when your hope feels fragile. These are not random occurrences. They are carefully orchestrated responses to your prayers for comfort and reassurance. The universe is responding to your heart's needs through the kindness of others, through the beauty of creation, through the perfect timing of grace-filled moments. The strength you find to face another day when you were certain you had no strength left. This is your prayer for endurance being answered. Each morning you wake with enough courage to continue. Each moment you choose hope over despair. Each breath you take when breathing feels difficult. You are living inside the answer to your prayer. The fact that you're still here, still trying, still believing even in small ways, is evidence that divine strength is flowing into your life in response to your requests for help. Your prayer for wisdom is being answered in the growing clarity you experience about what truly matters. The way you've learned to distinguish between urgent and important, between what you can control and what you must release, between what serves your highest good and what merely serves your immediate comfort. This is divine insight working in your life. The wisdom you've gained through difficult experiences, the perspective you've developed through waiting, the understanding you've cultivated through pain. All of this is evidence of your prayers for guidance being answered. Look at how your capacity for compassion has expanded through your own suffering. The way you now recognize pain in others that you might have missed before. The depth of empathy you feel for those who struggle in ways similar to your own experience. The patience you've developed for human weakness and failure. This is your prayer for a loving heart being answered. Your ability to comfort others who face similar trials, to speak hope into situations that mirror your own challenges, to offer understanding to those who feel alone in their struggles. This is the fruit of your prayers for love and connection. The provision that shows up just when you need it most might not look like the abundance you originally envisioned, but it is nonetheless real and significant. The bill that gets paid through an unexpected source, the help that arrives from someone you didn't anticipate, the solution that emerges from a direction you hadn't considered. These are your prayers for provision being answered. Divine provision rarely comes in the exact package you expect, but it comes with perfect timing and in precisely the amount needed for each step of your journey. Your prayers for protection are being answered in the accidents that don't happen, the wrong paths you feel compelled to avoid, the harmful relationships that naturally dissolve before they can cause lasting damage. You may never know about many of the dangers you've been shielded from, the negative influences that have been deflected away from your life, the destructive opportunities that have been closed before you could walk through them. The absence of certain problems in your life is often evidence of divine protection working in response to your prayers. The gradual healing you experience in areas of deep woundedness is your prayer for restoration being answered. Emotional scars that once felt raw and sensitive now carry less power to hurt you. Memories that used to trigger intense pain now evoke a gentler sadness that doesn't overwhelm your present peace. Relationships that seemed irreparably broken have found new foundations for connection and understanding. This healing doesn't always happen dramatically. It often comes so gradually that you only notice it when you look back and realize how much lighter you feel, how much stronger you've become. Your prayers for clarity about your purpose and direction are being answered through the increasing alignment you feel between your values and your choices. The way you've become more selective about how you spend your time and energy, the growing confidence you feel about certain decisions, the sense of rightness that accompanies specific opportunities. These are all responses to your requests for guidance. Even when the full picture of your purpose remains unclear, you're receiving enough illumination for each step, enough certainty for each decision that needs to be made. The unexpected allies who enter your life, offering support, encouragement, and practical help, are answers to your prayers for community and connection. These relationships might not develop exactly as you anticipated, and the help might come from sources you didn't expect. But the reality of having people who care about your well-being and contribute to your success is evidence of divine response to your heart's cry for companionship and support. Your prayers for forgiveness are being answered in your growing ability to release resentment and find peace with your past. The way bitter memories have lost some of their power to disturb your present tranquility, the increasing ease with which you can think about those who have hurt you without being consumed by anger, the freedom you feel to make different choices rather than being driven by old wounds. This is the work of divine grace responding to your requests for healing and release. Notice how opportunities for growth and learning continue to present themselves, even in the midst of difficulty. The books that find their way to you exactly when you need their message, the teachers who appear in various forms to offer insights that illuminate your path, the experiences that challenge you to develop new skills and understanding. These are responses to your prayers for wisdom and personal development. Your ongoing education in the art of living, loving, and thriving is evidence of divine investment in your continued growth. Your prayers for hope are being answered in your persistent ability to envision a better future, even when present circumstances make such vision seem unrealistic. The dreams that refuse to die despite repeated disappointments, the plans you continue to make even when previous plans have fallen through, the expectation that somehow things will work out well in the end. This stubborn hope is not naive optimism, but divine response to your requests for faith and courage. The increasing synchronicities in your life, meaningful coincidences that seem too perfectly timed to be random, are signs that spiritual forces are actively arranging circumstances in response to your prayers. When the right person appears at exactly the right moment, when information you need comes through unexpected channels, when opportunities align in ways that create clear pathways forward, you are witnessing the coordination of divine response to your prayers. Your prayers for patience are being answered in your growing ability to wait without anxiety, to endure without bitterness, to trust without demanding immediate evidence. The way you've learned to find peace in uncertainty, to maintain hope during delays, to believe in good outcomes even when current circumstances suggest otherwise. This is divine character being developed in you in response to your requests for spiritual maturity. The comfort you find in simple pleasures, the warmth of sunlight on your face, the beauty of flowers in bloom, the satisfaction of a good meal, the peace of a quiet moment. These are responses to your prayers for joy and contentment. Divine love meets you in these small but significant experiences, offering daily reminders that you are cherished and that life contains goodness worth celebrating even in the midst of struggle. Your prayers for understanding are being answered in the meaning you've been able to extract from painful experiences. The way you've learned to see setbacks as setups for comebacks, disappointments as redirections toward better opportunities, losses as clearings that make space for new blessings. This perspective is evidence of divine wisdom working in your mind and heart in response to your requests for insight and understanding. The energy you find to help others despite your own struggles is evidence of your prayers for purpose and significance being answered. When you discover that your own difficulties have equipped you to offer unique comfort and guidance to others facing similar challenges, when your story becomes a source of hope for someone else's journey, when your experience transforms from personal pain into purposeful ministry, you are living inside the answer to your prayers for meaningful contribution. Your prayers for breakthrough in specific areas of your life are being answered through the small victories that accumulate over time into significant progress. The habits you've been able to change, the patterns you've managed to interrupt, the behaviors you've successfully modified, these incremental improvements are building toward the major transformation you've been seeking. Divine power often works through consistent small changes that eventually create dramatic differences. The peace you feel about certain decisions, even when they don't make perfect sense logically, is evidence of divine guidance responding to your prayers for direction. When your spirit settles into certainty about a choice despite lingering questions in your mind, when you feel calm about a path forward, even though you can't see the complete route, you are experiencing divine confirmation in response to your requests for clarity and leadership. Your prayers for restoration in damaged relationships are being answered through your own changing heart and perspective. The softening you feel toward those who have hurt you, the willingness to take responsibility for your part in conflicts, the courage to initiate conversations about healing and reconciliation. These internal shifts are divine response to your prayers, preparing the way for external restoration when the timing is right for all parties involved. The resilience you've developed through repeated challenges is evidence of your prayers for strength being answered. Your ability to bounce back from setbacks more quickly than before, to maintain your core values under pressure, to keep moving forward even when progress feels slow. This is divine durability being built into your character in response to your requests for courage and perseverance. Your prayers for discernment are being answered in your growing ability to recognize truth from deception, wisdom from mere cleverness, genuine love from manipulation. The intuitive sense you've developed about people and situations, the warning signals you've learned to recognize and heed, the clarity you feel about what aligns with your values and what doesn't. These are all evidence of divine insight working in your life. Notice how your definition of success and happiness has evolved through your experiences of prayer and waiting. The way you've learned to value inner peace over external achievement, relationships over possessions, character over reputation. This shift in priorities is evidence of divine wisdom responding to your prayers for perspective and understanding about what truly matters in life. Your prayers for healing in your family relationships are being answered through your own growth in patience, understanding, and unconditional love. The way you've learned to love family members without trying to change them, to maintain boundaries without building walls, to forgive without requiring acknowledgement of wrongdoing. These developments in your capacity for healthy love are divine responses to your prayers for family harmony and healing. The creativity and innovation you discover in solving problems, the resourcefulness you display in managing challenges, the ingenuity you demonstrate in working with limited resources. These are evidence of divine intelligence working through you in response to your prayers for wisdom and practical guidance. You are more capable and resourceful than you realize, and this capability is being developed and revealed in response to your requests for help. Every breath you take is evidence that your prayers are being heard. Every sunrise you witness is confirmation that new mercies are available each day. Every act of kindness you encounter is a reminder that love is actively working in the world. Every moment of beauty that catches your attention is a sign that divine artistry continues to create wonder for your enjoyment and encouragement. Your prayers are not just being heard, they are being answered in countless ways every single day. The evidence surrounds you, fills your experience, and flows through your life like a constant stream of divine response to your every need, your every hope, your every whispered request for help, healing, and hope. Tonight, as the weight of carrying your prayers begins to lift from your shoulders, there comes an invitation more beautiful and freeing than any you have ever received. It is the invitation to lay down the burden of trying to orchestrate your own answers, to release the exhausting effort of figuring everything out, and to rest in the absolute certainty that you are held by a love so vast and careful that it has already seen to every detail of your well-being. The time has come to surrender the illusion that your prayers require your constant management to be effective. You have carried these requests like fragile treasures that might break if you don't hold them carefully enough, worry about them consistently enough, or present them persuasively enough. But the truth that wants to settle into your spirit tonight is this: your prayers were received in perfection the moment they left your heart, and they need nothing more from you than the simple trust that they are being handled with infinite wisdom and boundless love. Rest now in the knowledge that the one who hears your prayers loves you more deeply than you could love yourself. Every concern that keeps you awake at night is held with tenderness beyond your comprehension. Every fear that grips your heart is met with protective strength that never fails. Every hope that feels too fragile to survive disappointment is wrapped in the certainty of divine commitment to your ultimate joy and flourishing. You can stop trying so hard. You can stop rehearsing your requests as if repetition makes them more valid. You can stop examining your motives as if your worthiness determines the response. You can stop comparing your timeline to others' experiences as if divine love operates on a system of favoritism. You can stop holding your breath waiting for permission to believe that your prayers matter. They matter because you matter, and you matter because you are loved with an everlasting love that never changes, never diminishes, never wavers. The invitation tonight is to rest in this love like a child who falls asleep in the arms of a parent, completely unconcerned about how they will get from the car to their bed, knowing only that they are safe and cared for. Your prayers are in the hands of infinite competence and boundless affection. There is nothing you need to do to make them more effective, nothing you need to add to make them more complete, nothing you need to change to make them more acceptable. Let yourself imagine what it would feel like to wake up tomorrow morning without the weight of wondering whether your prayers will be answered. Picture yourself moving through your day with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your requests are being handled by the most capable, loving, wise heart in existence. Envision yourself facing challenges with the peace that flows from absolute trust that everything is working together for your good, even when you can't see how. This is not a call to passive resignation or an active acceptance of whatever comes. This is an invitation to active rest, the dynamic peace that comes from knowing your part and trusting divine love with everything else. Your part is to live fully, love generously, hope boldly, and trust completely. Everything else, the timing, the methods, the arrangements, the orchestration of circumstances, belongs to the one who loves you perfectly and works all things together for your ultimate blessing. Tonight, you can lay down the exhausting burden of trying to help divine love figure out how to love you well. You can release the fear that your prayers might be forgotten, overlooked, or deemed unimportant. You can stop second-guessing whether you've asked for the right things in the right way at the right time. Divine love needs no assistance in loving you perfectly, no coaching in caring for you completely, no reminders about what you need or when you need it. The heart that hears your prayers knows you better than you know yourself. It sees not just your present circumstances, but the trajectory of your entire story. It understands not just what you think you want, but what will actually bring you lasting joy. It considers not just your immediate comfort, but your eternal well-being. It weighs not just your individual needs, but how meeting those needs fits into the larger tapestry of love that includes everyone whose life touches yours. Rest in the promise that your prayers have set in motion forces more powerful and persistent than anything that opposes your well-being. What you have asked for in faith will come to pass, though it may arrive in packages you don't recognize at first, through doorways you didn't know existed, at times that seem surprisingly early or surprisingly late, but are actually perfectly timed for your highest good. The waiting you have endured has not been wasted time, but sacred preparation. Every day of uncertainty has been a day of divine activity on your behalf. Every moment of wondering has been a moment of spiritual forces aligning in your favor. Every hour of hoping against hope has been an hour of divine love working steadily, carefully, thoroughly to ensure that when your answers come, they come complete and lasting and more wonderful than you dared to imagine. You can rest tonight knowing that divine timing is not divine procrastination. The delay you have experienced is not divine forgetfulness or heavenly bureaucracy. It is the careful orchestration of perfect love, ensuring that every element is in place, every heart is prepared, every circumstance is aligned for the answers that will not just meet your needs, but exceed your expectations in ways that will leave you amazed at the thoroughness and creativity of divine provision. Your story is not one of unanswered prayers, but of prayers being answered in the most beautiful, surprising, perfect ways possible. What feels like delay from your perspective is actually divine precision, working to coordinate the most wonderful outcomes you could imagine, and many you couldn't have conceived. Your prayers are not stuck in heavenly traffic. They are being processed by infinite intelligence that sees the end from the beginning and works all things together for your good. Tonight, you can choose to trust that every prayer you have ever prayed is known, valued, and being answered according to wisdom too vast for human understanding and love too deep for mortal comprehension. You can rest in the absolute certainty that nothing you truly need will be withheld from you, that every genuine desire of your heart is being considered with tenderness and care, that every fear you carry is being met with divine strength and protection. The peace that passes understanding is yours tonight, not because your circumstances have changed, but because the truth about your circumstances is finally clear. You are not abandoned in your struggles, forgotten in your pain, or insignificant in your needs. You are cherished beyond measure, provided for beyond your ability to see, and protected beyond your capacity to understand. Let yourself sink into the soft comfort of knowing that tomorrow's troubles will be met with tomorrow's grace, that future challenges will be accompanied by divine strength you haven't yet accessed, that whatever lies ahead on your journey will be walked in the company of love that never leaves you nor forsakes you. Your prayers have been heard, every single one of them, the desperate ones and the grateful ones, the angry ones and the peaceful ones, the eloquent ones and the wordless ones, the confident ones and the doubt-filled ones. All of them have been received with equal love, processed with equal care, and are being answered with equal divine commitment to your ultimate joy and flourishing. Rest now in the beautiful certainty that you can stop worrying about whether you're praying correctly, asking for the right things, maintaining adequate faith, or deserving divine attention. Your prayers are heard because you are loved, not because you perform well. They are answered because divine love delights in blessing you, not because you earn favor through perfect faith or flawless behavior. Tonight, let the sweetness of being completely known and perfectly loved wash over every anxious thought, every fearful imagination, every doubt-filled question. You are held by hands that will never let you go, loved by a heart that will never change its mind about you, guided by wisdom that will never lead you astray. The morning will come when you will wake to find that the answers you have been seeking were being prepared while you slept. The breakthrough you have been anticipating will arrive in ways that confirm divine love's attention to detail and commitment to your happiness. The provision you have been requesting will manifest in forms that reveal the creativity and abundance of divine care. But until that morning comes, you can rest peacefully in the knowledge that your prayers matter deeply, are being handled carefully, and will be answered completely. Nothing about your story is accidental. Nothing about your journey is forgotten. Nothing about your future is uncertain to the one who holds all things together and works all things for the good of those who trust in divine love. Sleep now, knowing that your prayers continue to work while you rest. Wake tomorrow, knowing that divine love continues to move on your behalf while you go about your day. Live each moment knowing that you are surrounded by grace, upheld by strength, and guided by wisdom that sees the end from the beginning and ensures that all things work together for your ultimate good. Your prayers will be answered, not just some of them, but all of them, in the perfect way, at the perfect time, for the perfect reasons. This is not wishful thinking or empty consolation. This is the promise of love that never fails, wisdom that never errs, and power that never encounters an obstacle too great to overcome. Rest now, beloved. Rest completely. Rest peacefully. Rest confidently. Your prayers are in the most capable hands in the universe, and those hands are working even now to bring about answers that will exceed your expectations and fulfill your heart's deepest longings in ways more wonderful than you have yet imagined. The weight you have carried is lifted. The burden you have borne is shared. The responsibility you have assumed is taken by stronger shoulders. Your part is simply to rest in love, trust in wisdom, and hope in promises that have never failed and never will. Your prayers will be answered. This is your promise, your hope, your certainty, your peace. Rest now in this truth, and let it carry you into the sweetest sleep you have known in far too long.